Are you confused? You know, I read this a long time ago and didn't really understand it until much later. But if you're around somebody and you're confused, chances are you're being manipulated in very subtle ways. Ways that you probably will never even figure out unless you really study this. But you don't have to figure out. You don't have to figure it out. All you need to do is all you need to do is listen to your gut. Because the people that you feel confused around, I would say that you shouldn't be around. You want to cut those people out of your life or just avoid them. Same thing, I guess. But if you work with somebody, just try to get away from them and whatnot. You know, narcissists are very confusing people. They live in irony, I guess. They live in they live in this world where things don't make sense. And the reason that they don't make sense to people that are dealing with them, that observe them, is that they're trying to cover up something. They're trying to cover up who they really are. But the problem with the narcissist is they really don't know who they are. So they're trying to cover up some type of shame, some type of turmoil that they've covered it up for so long. They've buried it. They put so much dirt on top of it that the narcissist really doesn't know who they are. They are only defined to themselves by the people around them. It's bugging me. So, the narcissist will try to make people happy around them to make themselves happy. If they can get some type of positive thing out of it. They can look better, they can feel better. But when they're around you and they're alone and they need to assert some power, they will purposely try to make you hurt, try to affect you in some way. Or if they're trying to punish you for not giving them attention or giving them the, they acted like a child and were screaming at you and telling you what a bad person you are. If you don't go along with that, then they may punish you. But the confusion, that's the part I wanted to really talk about. Some of the confusion is they will say things that don't make sense. There's a few ways they do this. One of the ways is gaslighting. It's done on purpose. It's meant to confuse you. It's meant to deny, deflect, say something didn't happen. It's purposely meant to deceive you. Now, if somebody's out to deceive you, that's not a person you want to be around for a long time. In fact, I would cut and run. But the other way they confuse you is the whole illusion. They have this illusion in place, and they don't always get their facts right. Well, over the years, as they get wiser and wiser and more deliberate, more intelligent in how they manipulate and how they present their illusion to you, they will get better and better at being able to use lies of omission. That's the lie where if I tell you that I'm trying to think of something that isn't true. Okay, so if I tell you that I flew to the moon, say I want to give you the impression that I was an astronaut in a secret spy test program. What I would do if I was a narc, if I wanted to make that story stick and I wanted you to believe it, I would give you just enough truth so that you would come to your own conclusion. I would look up articles about rockets and about secret government programs, and I would present things to you in a way that would say, I'm very familiar with government programs, and I'm not really supposed to talk about this, but we have there are secret flights that go to the moon, and then I show you, and then I order a spacesuit on eBay, all right, and then when you come over to my place, you're looking around, and then in my closet you see a spacesuit that I have in a box that's kind of out a little bit, and then you look over and you say, oh, what's that? And you say, oh, that's a spacesuit, but I really don't want to talk about that. I mean, there's just things that, I'm using a ridiculous example, but there's just things that they do that they make you come to a conclusion that is not true. It's lies of omission. Lies of omission. It's saying something and letting your assumptive part, because see, what we do is we trust people. We trust that somebody's communicating with us. If you really break down communication and look at how individuals communicate, it's pretty complex. So you have to be around somebody that is on the same level as you with your communications. There's a lot of nonverbal communications. They say about 10% is verbal communications and about 90% is nonverbal communications, like the way I might say the word ah, or the way I might touch my face or my nose. If I'm lying, then I touch my nose, or if I'm doing my hair, if I want to look good or something. There's a lot of nonverbal communication that you probably pick up on, but your gut picks up on it, but you try to listen to the words and try to believe the words that somebody's telling you, and they don't match. It's not congruent. It's not the same thing. The way I say, of course I love you, if it's hollow sounding, your gut says they don't really mean it. But the thing with us is we trust and believe that people are telling us the truth, so we'll listen to the words, right? And just kind of discredit the nonverbal communications that we get in our gut. So back to the confusion thing. If your gut is telling you, wait, here's one way to tell if you're being manipulated. Okay, so you're with somebody, you have a lot of confusion, things just don't make sense, and then you go out, say you drive over to your friend's house, and then you're talking about the same rate and about the same thing, and you're talking to them about some things, and you're not confused. That contrast is going to give you, I think, validation that, okay, I'm being manipulated. Then you go to the grocery store, and then you talk to the store manager. You say, oh, I thought you had these here. People are going to try to communicate with you in a trustful, open, honest, communicative way when you're out in public or when you're with a friend, right? When you're with a narc, that's when you're going to see the contrast. You're going to talk to them, and you're going to be confused. You're going to say, wait, I know I just talked to this person earlier, and I talked to a store manager today, and they had no problem with the way I was communicating with them, and they understood me, and I understood them. So why am I having such a hard problem now? That's what you're going to find. But if you're isolated with the narcs, because they like to do that, they like to take up every single inch of your time, every single moment of your time, if they're love bombing you, if you're early in the relationship, when they're not out cheating or doing other things behind your back. And they'll even call. They'll call you on the phone. Hey, what are you doing right now? You're always on guard, right? That walking on eggshells. Well, just realize that confusion is a form of manipulation. Now, there's other forms that I was going to talk about earlier. One of them is they use logic. They use pretend logic. And there's a narcissist. There's a video by Understanding Narcissist where if you type in YouTube, narcissists use pretend logic to kind of cover up their emotions. That's what they do. The guy was right on, and I would encourage anybody to watch that video, because what narcissists do, see, narcissists want to be able to say, I'm better than you. That's what they really want to say, right? But they know through trial and error and through things that didn't work, through experimentation, they tried that once and they lost all their friends, right? They tried doing that. So as they got older, as they got into their teens, they learned how to be a little bit more selective in their words. And so what they'll do is they'll use logic to slam you. All they're doing is trying to get that emotion out. But what they're going to do is they're going to use words around it to make it sound like something else. But the reaction is still the same. They want you to feel like a loser. They want you to feel bad. Okay, they want to make you feel, they want to make themselves feel superior to you. That's why they do what they do. They want to have power and control over you. So when they say something like, I'm really worried about your drinking, or I'm really worried about, so, they're not really worried. They're trying to make you kind of cringe. That, what do you mean? I don't even drink. You drink more than me, Well, I'm just really concerned about you, You know what happened 10 years ago, and that's the thing too. They have that data bank of all the bad things that you did. They store those like a Rolodex, ready to bring them up on a moment's notice. Okay, like a supercomputer. And so they have things stored in there to make you feel bad. They know your weak buttons. I say hot buttons, but they know your weak buttons. They know where your weakest points are, because they've experimented with you, because they love bombed you. They pushed your boundaries. They said, okay, I'm going to keep pushing. Okay, that's where she stops. Okay, I'm going to keep pushing a little bit, and I know if I push in that spot, that's going to make her upset. So I'm going to do that. When I get upset, she's going to be upset, because I don't deserve to be punished like this. She's punishing me. Of course, they see through things through power and control. They don't understand love. So watch out. That's the one thing that used to bug the crap out of me, was getting punished by the narc for doing something good. I mean, for generally doing something good. We're not vindictive people, right? And so when we do something good and then we get punished by them, and then the next time we do something good, or we don't do it because, hey, that behavior got me punishment from the narc, the next time we decide, well, I'm not going to do that again. And then they say, well, why didn't you do this for me? And you're like, because you punished me last? No, that was not. And of course, it's your fault again. That used to bug me nuts, because there was no consistent behavior, because they aren't consistent people. They are at the whim of other people's emotions around them. They don't have an inner self. They don't have an emotionally mature, regulated self. They have to get it from the others around them. So naturally, if they say they were at an event and somebody else was the center of attention and not them, and they had expected that they were going to be the center of attention, well, guess what? They're going to come home, and if you don't give them the center of attention, oh boy, you're going to get it. Hey, where are you? I'm in here in the closet. Well, you don't even have the house cleaned up for me? What's going on? Blah blah blah. Well, I was packing for our trip. I thought we could get the house cleaned. No, you know what? You just don't even think about me. Blah blah blah. You're like, what? You wanted me to? Last night we talked. You talked about going on the trip, so I'm just packing up. And man, I remember those conversations. They're so confusing. It's not you, okay? It's not you. It really isn't. They're just all over the map, because they're reaching out. How do I feel right now? How do I feel right now? They can't do this. They can't go, how do I feel right now? Okay, I feel pretty good. They have to look around, and if they're getting the attention, okay, I feel fine. I've got the attention, right? Attention to them is like a drug. They're addictive. They have addictive personalities. And it may not be a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction or a spending addiction or a sex addiction, but it will play into the narcs. They'll very easily do that. What they have, though, is a supply addiction. Whatever that supply is, they need it. And the one thing that they do a lot is they need the supply that they need most is that adulation, that oh, you're so great, their ego. They have those big egos. They're like spoiled kids. When they're not getting their way, they're like spoiled kids. And they need that power and control. So now that I parked, I'm going to read some of your comments, and we're going to have a little chat. Don't you hate that when they... So walking on eggshells, guys, it's no way to live. Not knowing whether they're happy or sad. I mean, when I used to base my mood on somebody else's mood affects my mood, I don't get that way anymore. Now, I've had some time to kind of develop what I like, what I don't like, and kind of set my own mood, right? I get up in the morning, I think of abundance. I'm thankful for everything every day when I wake up. I don't have anybody interrupting me and telling me not to think that way. That's the other thing they do. They want to control you. And when you let them control you, if you're around them enough, they will control you. They will control your emotions. How do you break it off? You go no contact. If you live with them and you start to back away a little bit and go no contact, they'll sense that, and they'll make your life a living hell. They'll sense that because they feel you pulling away from them. You're pulling slowly away, and they got to draw you back. And how do they do that? Power and control. They're going to start criticizing you, condemning you, trying to press your hot buttons to get you back into the loop. You know? So I believe you have to really just cut it off completely with them. Make a plan, make an escape plan, make a plan to get away. Just like you were in a DV situation, and some of you are, domestic violence. There's rules on that. There's centers that actually help women prepare. It's mostly women. Help women prepare to leave a guy so that there's no physical repercussions. There's no violence. You almost want to have the same type of plan, I believe, from what I've talked to, what I've learned. I'm not an expert. Talk to Dana. She's an expert when it comes to DV, when it comes to narcissism. But what I've seen so far is that I believe that you need a plan to just break it off. Like, it's like taking a Band-Aid off. Do you want to take a Band-Aid off real slow, you know, pay for it? Just rip that thing off and just be done with it. That's how I believe you should go no contact. And then you don't try to put the Band-Aid back on. Oh, I'm just going to look at their Facebook, or I'm just going to text them, you know, or I'm just going to look at that text. Because the texts are designed to hurt you. They're trying to reel you back in. They're trying to get that power. And when I say the texts are designed to hurt you, they're only designed to get a reaction. They need that reaction. They need the attention that you give them, that you used to give them. You used to give them, right? See, I'm already thinking ahead for you. You used to give them attention. You used to do everything for them. You used to do their laundry when they didn't want to do it. You used to clean up after. Okay, that can be used to. That can be past tense. So, but what you want to do is yeah, I just lost my train of thought. Okay, let me read some of your comments here. Attention junkies, yes. Yeah, they are, look, they are giant spoiled kids. They are spoiled kids in an adult body. Okay, that's what they are. They want to control, you know, and like I said, the word I was looking for earlier was sophistication. They get more sophisticated as they get older, so they can make words sound like they really mean they're logical, but they're not. They're just wrapped up in emotions. And your gut, you got to listen to your gut. If somebody's telling you they love you and they're doing it, I love you, I really love you. Really? Listen to your gut. They don't have that gut thing. They don't have that gut deal. What they do have, though, is they almost have like ESP, like extrasensory perception. They can see things that we can't. And you know why? Because when we were growing up, we had all that empathy. We were thinking of other people. We were putting ourselves in people's shoes. Well, they passed that out when they were 4 or 5 and they missed it. They didn't get in the line or whatever. They don't have any empathy. So guess what? Instead of thinking about other people and, oh, maybe that person feels that way, and having that empathy that we have, that we can develop even more, that we can exercise, it gives us the satisfaction of our lives, they don't have that. So guess what they do? They try to fit in. They study people. They study little mannerisms, how people move, how people have empathy, what it looks like when people have empathy. It's all fake. You know how you've heard that they're fake, right? Well, that's what it is they're just trying to do the best they can because they don't have the empathy part. They don't have it, so they gotta I gotta get along in this world, otherwise I'm gonna die. You know, they have to pretend, okay? They've been called the great pretenders because they have to show like they have empathy or like they really care about you, but they really don't. And that's why it's so confusing. I can pretend I care about you, and it goes so far, right? And then your gut goes, wait a second. They kind of like let the door slam right behind them, and they said they care about me, but they didn't even think to hold the door open for me. That kind of stuff. It's those little things, those little clues that all add up later on. How many of you out there, okay, I'm getting excited now. How many of you out there have had this experience where you've left them and then about 2 months later, or even a week later, anyways, sometime after you've discarded them or they've discarded you, you went your separate ways. Oh, by the way, them discarding you is a good thing, okay? I know it doesn't look like it. It is a good thing. But how many of you have had that experience where that happens and then all the pieces start making sense? Like, oh yeah, I remember the way he looked at me and it didn't seem right. And that makes sense because of that. It's, you know, it's your body's way of kind of getting closure, getting validation for your gut, because your gut's going, I told you so, I told you so. Your gut is trying to figure it out, right? And so now hindsight is kind of like 2020, because you can see, oh, that's why they were like that. Now, you're not going to get all the answers, you never will, like how many if you know, if your narc cheated, how many partners they had. That's one of the mysteries of the world, right? Only they know. And you're never going to find that out, so don't even try to, you know, rectify or whatever. One is too many, I think, but you know, but that's kind of the things that I've experienced through growing through this, growing and growing through it. And you know, we all want it to hurry up and get better, but it just takes time. It really does. Oh, I want it so bad for it to be over in a month, but it just takes time. Just give yourself a break. Let your body go through the normal things, your mind, you know, the grief, the acceptance. You do a little grief, then you get a little acceptance, and you have a cry, and then you curl up in bed, and then you stay in bed the whole day, and then you get up. It's okay. You're going to be okay. It's okay to do that. It's okay. I remember sleeping. Dana talks about that too, just sleeping. Just I could sleep for a week if I, you know, because your body's going, hey man, we got some trauma to heal here, you know. So the confusion though is what I want to do this video about. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to read some of your comments. Powerless cowards. And think about it. If somebody has to yell and try to get you to do things by yelling at you and manipulating you, they really do feel powerless, right? And when they feel powerless, they don't feel loved. But they don't really have love, so love is their power. They feel validated. We feel validated with love. Well, they feel validated with power and being in control. Because early on, their lives were out of control, and they kind of like stuffed their little real selves down, and this false self grew up and became bigger and bigger and bigger until the false self is kind of running the show now. So that's how that works. So anyways, I love you guys. Well, I love you guys. No, I really do. I love all my fans. My fans. Like I'm some rock star. No, I'm just a guy that went through all this crap. And I'm coming out of it, and I'm telling you, you're all behind the mountain. Come on down, yeah, I know it's gonna be hard. Yeah, you're gonna get some cuts through the bushes on the way. There's thorn bushes in there, but just keep it tracking, keep going. You'll eventually get through it, and it'll be good. But it'll be better, you know. You'll have some days will be worse than others. You'll think, oh, I've made it fun. No, you haven't made it yet. I haven't made it yet, but at least I know now. I got the awareness now. No, I haven't made it yet, but keep on going, keep on plugging. This support group loves you. You got a lot of people here going through the same thing you are. We can relate. We can empathize. You aren't the crazy one. You are not the crazy one. I'm not the crazy one. All right, guys. Love you. Bye.